Hey guys, Rich here from Beast Mode Project. Yeah, CrossFit Open 17.3, right? So we're 3 weeks into the Open. We've had two doozies right before this. This one doesn't look as evil on paper, but I'm not underestimating HQ's decisions. It's probably going to be just as tough. So we need to get you into a position where you can smash this workout as best as possible. Okay, so what are we looking at for the chest to bar pull-up? First and foremost, from a setup perspective, right? And the setup continues through whether you use strict, whether you use the butterfly kip, or whether you use the regular gymnastics kip for your pull-up, right? And that first setup is just like we spoke about last week when we spoke about the toes to bar and the bar muscle-ups, is first and foremost how to set up that grip, right? So can I get my pinky knuckle as far over that bar as possible, right? So that I can create this kind of false grip action, right? And what that's going to do, it's going to help to set my wrist into a more stable position, into a stronger position, so that my wrist is taking less effort, less load, right? But also what it's going to do is help me to set my shoulder into a more beneficial position so that I can get maximum lat activation, right? It's also going to help me with my external rotation so that I can get more wrap from the shoulder and more retraction on my pull. Why is that important? Because firstly, when we go through a normal pull-up, it's one thing to get the chin over the bar, but to get the chest to the bar, we've got another 4 to 6 inches, 12 to 15 centimeters that we need to cover. Now, maybe that doesn't seem like a big difference to you, but I assure you after rep after rep after rep, that really starts to add up. Just that little bit of pulling power. And the first place that pulling is going to come from is from your lats. Can you get enough retraction in your shoulder blades in order to get that chest to touch the bar again and again and again? What does this tell us from a warm-up perspective? Make sure that the shoulder blades are working exactly the way they need to work. What would I do? I would start off with like some scapular circles. I would probably do some scap pulls, right? Hanging from the bar, retracting, getting the scap working, and then maybe doing some scap push-ups, making sure that the scap are working in their full range of motion, fully and completely. Other things I would like to pay attention to in my warm-up: fingers, making sure that, and my hands, making sure that they're strong and stable, warmed up so that I can hang on to the bar for long periods of time, making sure that my wrists are warmed up and working and firing so that I can hold that false position, making sure that my elbows are warmed up and fully operational so that I can ensure that I get the full range of motion, right? So these are all the little mechanisms that we got to make sure that we're tapping before we go into this workout. Make sure that you've got all of those things knocked off on your warm-up list before you go into doing these gymnastic elements, right? So now there's 3 ways of performing this work, right? You can do a strict chest to bar pull-up, which is one way of doing it. It's going to be the most taxing from a muscular point of view, right? The most amount of time under tension, the most amount of difficulty to perform the action in terms of strength, right? So that's going to be very, very difficult. It's also going to take the most amount of time. So not very efficient if you're trying to get rounds in, okay? Second thing is the regular gymnastics kip. Much easier to maintain a rhythm, much easier to rebound out of, okay? A good even in between the butterfly and the strict kip. Finally, we have that butterfly kip. And the butterfly is the most efficient from a speed perspective. But because it is the most complex out of the 3 options, it becomes very, very difficult to maintain. Now, I for one am not very good at butterfly kips. I understand that. I don't practice them very often. I do practice the regular gymnastics kip every so often, so I keep that in my ingrained patterns. But what I'm going to show you is the 3 options, and then you'll need to decide what you choose going into this workout that works best for you. But try to stick with whichever one you choose. Now, that being said, between the kipping and the strict, there's far more transferability, right? So they're more similar, right? The butterfly kip is so much more complex that can sometimes throw you out. So if you don't practice butterfly kips regularly, I don't suggest even trying butterfly kips in this workout, because it might just gas you out trying that, and then maybe you've gassed yourself out trying that too often that you don't succeed with the other kinds of kips, or other kinds of pull-ups rather. Okay, so first things first, the strict kip, or the strict pull-up. Now, when I set up on my bar, I haven't set this up beautifully well. Okay, when I set up on my bar, again, like I spoke about, is getting that pinky knuckle as much over the bar as possible, right? And you can see where my shoulders hang in relation to my ears, right? So I'm in this deep hang, and that helps me to get this strong external rotation, this wrapping, and that's going to help me to ensure a retraction. So from here, if I want, I'm going to wrap, retract, pull, pull, chest to bar, all the way down. Lots of time spent doing that, lots of time and attention, huge strength component. It's going to be very difficult to maintain. You know, maybe the first 6 are going to be fine, but if I have to readdress that in another set, especially if I'm doing squat snatches in between, I'm not going to be the happiest guy around. Okay, next one is the regular gymnastics kip. And like we've spoken about before, is maintaining the integrity in your line, right? So keeping that tensional integrity down the middle as much as possible, no independently moving parts. Why? Because independently moving parts are going to ensure that, are going to guarantee that my line goes out. That means that I can't maintain a stable position moving up to the bar, right? It's also going to make certain parts of my body heavy. I want everything working as one single unit, one single system, so every action supports the next. So I'm going to pop up on the bar here. I might shuffle to get my pinkies a little bit more. Right, I'll find my kip, my strong rebounding kip. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to pop. Right? And then the last one is the butterfly kip, and I can't guarantee you that I'm going to look ever so pretty doing these, but I'm going to try my best, right? And the butterfly kip is a kicking, whipping, waving action. And I can show you the kip first, right? And this is much more difficult to maintain, especially as you get more tired as this workout goes on, because it is more neuromuscularly complex. So as your nervous system gets gassed with the amount of work, it's going to be tougher and tougher to maintain this kind of kip. Right? So I set up, and then it's little kips. And as you can see there, my chest doesn't even hit the bar. So that's not the one I'm going to choose. I'm going to go for this normal gymnastics kip. Pick yours, use the one that suits you best. Go crush it, stay strong beasts.